So there is a startling statistic about podcasters, especially new ones, that I want to talk about in this episode. And I want to specifically make sure I don't become one of those statistics. And I'm also going to talk about some frog legs I smoked, so stick around.
Time to fire up that grill. From smoked pork to smash burgers, outdoor cooking just tastes better. This is the Okie Smokin podcast. And here's your host, John Berry.
So let's just start by saying I enjoy making content. I enjoy making YouTube videos, and I have made several on the Okie Smokin channel. I enjoy doing websites. I haven't done as much of that Okie Smokin website building as what I have on YouTube, but I want to do some more in that area. And I do have another website as well. But what I am talking about, that startling statistic, let me just get right to it. Most new podcasts stop before or at episode 3. They never get to episode 4. A matter of fact, 90% of them do not get past episode 3. And it states near 2 million podcasts quit before they even get started. They create all the podcasts, they get it done, and never even start. And of the near 250,000 left, 90% quit after 20 episodes. So, most don't get past episode 3. Of the 200,000 that are left that do get past episode 3, never get past episode 20. And it's easy to fall into this trap or state or whatever it is. First of all, you have to have your mindset. You have to really commit. And that goes with creating YouTube videos as well as creating podcasts. So, to make a point, last year, at the end of December or at the beginning of December, we launched this podcast. Let me see what the exact date was. Oh, actually, our first episode was November 29th of 2023. Then we had one on December 4th, 11th, and 18th. Now, we did have an intro in there, so I'm not going to count that one. We posted an intro as well. So we had 3 episodes. We had one regular episode. And let me see. And a second regular episode. And then we decided we would start a season. And we did that. And we did one episode. Was it one episode? Let me see. No, we did. Yep, one episode in the season. And it don't look like we ever really did anything else because we thought we'd do seasons, and we had this ideal of doing suites for the first season. We'd do something else for the next season. And we never got our feet off the ground. We said we were going to post every Monday, and we never did it. So I almost came that dreadful statistic. And today I'm getting past, I'm going to call it past episode 4, because we had an intro, we had another episode, and then we had our season episode 1. But I am remodifying it. Once again, it's my podcast, so if I want to change things, I can. If I want to add a season later, and maybe I will, I can. But we're going to scratch the whole dang season. Ideal for now. I thought it would be easier because we could come up with ideals, but I think it's going to be better to just come up with random ideals throughout the year based on what I'm doing, not based on what I'm trying to create for a specific niche or season. And then, of course, the next statistic I was talking about is of the 200,000 podcasters that make it past episode 4. Most quit at 7, and then very few make it past episode 20. So by the end of the year, I will be past episode 20. I'm not going to become one of these statistical podcasts that just do all the work, get everything set up. I mean, I got my microphone. I've got all this stuff. I've even got a second microphone so Dolores can jump in. She is still going to be the co-host on the show. She won't be in on all the episodes. Occasionally, I'll bring her in, and she'll be a second part of the podcast. But for the most part, I'm just going to come on here and talk about some of the things that I've done throughout the week on my smokers, outdoor cooking, other things. And I even, this is pretty cool, become a CBS or a Kansas City barbecue judge. It's KCBS judge. So I'll make an episode about that and talk about how that class went. So that's going to be pretty fun as well, going into some insight on that. So that's going to be a different view from a judging perspective. So that'll be interesting to cover on a future podcast episode as well. So basically, I'm just saying I'm not going to become a statistic, and I'm going to keep going forward, and we're going to continue to push out these episodes. Not saying a week won't be missed on occasion for various reasons, from holidays to other things that may develop, but we're going to continue with our Monday, maybe some special episodes, and we're going to get past. I'm making the commitment to all of you, to me, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. Currently on YouTube, and I'll pull it up here on my phone. If you don't know me, my name is John, and I am from Oklahoma. And I have a YouTube channel, and it is called the Okie. That's O-K-I-E, Smokin, just like this podcast, S-M-O-K-I-N. And if you look that up on YouTube, you'll find all my videos. Currently, over 100 videos. Some of them are shorts. Some of them are full-blown content. Most of them are regular videos. And if I click on the channel information here, it should give me 136 videos. So I have committed to the YouTube. And what happened was I was committing to it so much, and then trying to do the podcast, and then I've also got the website, and then I've got a regular job, and then it is not easy. And that's why most people fail. And not only that, if you're trying to build a brand or something, it could take a couple of years or more before you really get anywhere. It's all the investment early on that really does not even show any payoff. It does not show anything at all. So it's like paying and hoping later, and eventually you should get to a point to where you start to take off. Your podcast grows, your YouTube channel grows, your website grows. So to build a full brand, I want the website to be updated weekly, add some of the videos I do, and I want a podcast that's content's added weekly, talking about maybe the latest video coming out, for example, or some other things going on, and then a video. So what I have decided is if I just do one of each a week, then that's not as much. And I would try to do several videos, and then I'd get too boiled up in that. And then you got to make time for the podcast. And then we got a grandkid, and you got, family and things that you have to attend to. And so it makes it difficult to put everything in order sometimes. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. And then I'm also wanting to talk about the frog legs I did, because this is the Okie Smokin channel. You can't have a little episode without a little bit of smoking talk, a little barbecue talk. But just so everybody knows, my name is John. This is the Okie Smokin channel. I am in Oklahoma. And I do want to thank you if you have taken the time to listen to this podcast. And I hope or I commit to continue these episodes and not fall flat on my face and just go without any episodes, because that's the biggest turnoff. Everybody will say, well, this one's already gone. And I've seen a lot of that. I have seen a lot of that. I will find a podcast that I think's pretty good or has real good potential, and I'll be like, man, this is good. And then they only have 6 episodes. I'm like, whoa. And it's been 2 years. And then you find another. Oh, this is good. 2 or 3 episodes. It's done. And that is a trend I just saw. I was just looking up stuff, and I kept seeing it one after another after another. And I said, I don't want to be caught in this trap or in this statistic, I guess I would say. So let's go ahead and talk about it. This is, we're going to go ahead and switch to the journey that begins. And some of the challenges that I encountered when starting this podcast. So let's dive into that. Well, first and foremost, it's time. It's making sure you dedicate some time, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot of time. Hour or two, do the podcast, an hour for some editing, and it's done. So time would be one of the biggest challenges. Also, if you are trying to do a co-host, getting both of you to be able to do it at the same time. That's why I think I'm going to go ahead and do it just myself. And then on certain ones, I'll have my co-host Dolores with me, and that will also flow things and mix things up. You'll be like, oh, Dolores is on this episode. And that will be fun. Some of the uncertainties as well is, does anybody care? Am I just going to talk to a microphone in 25 episodes and have nobody listen? That's the uncertainty. But that's also the expectations, because hopefully there's more than just a couple, people listening to the podcast. Hopefully. But if there's not, hey, someone somewhere may find some information. And if you think about it, it don't matter. You don't need 80,000 people like in a football stadium. If you launch a podcast and you have 10 people listening to it regularly, 5 people listening to it, 20 people, you have some people that are enjoying the content. And those people are going to keep coming back. Someone else is going to hear them, and eventually you're going to add to it. So it don't matter. Most podcasts are not big in thousands of listeners. They can get there. So that's some of the uncertainties when it comes to podcasts. That brings me to the next segment, time management tips. So effective time management when juggling your podcast with your other responsibilities. Dedicating a particular time every week would be ideal, and making sure that you are focused during that time, making sure you have printed out a guide so that when you do your podcast, you can go through a flow. And I'm telling you, AI is great for this. Now, you don't want AI to write your podcast, your blog, create your whole video, but you can actually tell it to give you an outline of what you're going to be talking about, and it will help flow you with it. So if you're creating a podcast, try AI, try Chat GPT, try Gemini, have them go ahead and create you an outline, tell it what your podcast is about. If you have co-hosts, tell it that, and it will actually help you. It will give you a list, so it'll have you something to follow. So that's going to be a great way to keep you organized, to keep you focused during the podcast. So that's something I'm doing to better myself. And then here in a second, we're going to get into the barbecue part of this podcast. But just talking to you, if you are new to podcasting, I'm no expert. I'm new too. I'm just telling you some of the things I'm doing to try to better myself, to make sure I don't become a statistic, to make sure I outdo those 20 and become a higher percentage. And not only that, want to continue it, wanting to build it into the full brand of the Okie Smokin YouTube, website, and podcast. Also got TikTok. That's fun. Put some videos on there once in a while, but just developing it into a full package brand. So enough talking about the podcast. This is a barbecue channel. Enough talking about that kind of stuff. There's great podcasts, people out there that you'll want to listen to. I listen to some of them. Look them up. And if I got some recommendations, I can't think of them, I will I'll let you know in a future episode, possibly. So let's go ahead and get into the frog legs. Yep, the frog legs. Cooked frog legs on the Pit Boss smoker this weekend. Now, this is the second time I've done frog legs. I did them a while back, and I cooked them in a cast iron skillet, which I also put on my Pit Boss because I got a Pit Boss pellet cooker. It's a Pit Boss 500, so it's not real big, but it's not real small. It's decent, and you could put your cast iron skillet right in the center. And I like to remove, because you can remove the center of it so the flames actually come up all the way through the, where you can see the flames. And you could put your cast iron skillet right there. It'll heat up pretty quick. Threw my oil in it and just fried them after I'd battered them. I battered them with some flour and some other seasonings. And I'll put this video in the show notes below so you can check it out. I'll put both of these frog leg videos in the show notes below. So please check it out if you'd like to see how I cooked both of these versions of frog legs. But I went ahead and fried that one, which came out tremendous. It really did. And, you know, they do have a little bit of a different taste. And everybody says, well, what does it taste like? And people say it tastes like chicken. Well, it has a hint of that, but it's got a little sweeter taste, I think. It's got a little different, unique frog taste. I don't know what it is. You can't describe it, but it's not bad. It's good. Some people don't like the way they look, the legs, and they bend. They look funny. They're thin. There's not enough meat. Whatever the reason is, they say, well, I'll just eat regular chicken. If it tastes like it, why eat a frog leg? I just will eat a regular chicken, and that is something a lot of people do say, and they literally refuse to try the frog legs. Now let me talk to you a little bit about the latest one that I did. So I went ahead and heated my Pit Boss to 225 degrees, and then I put these legs in butter and just kind of put them in the fridge and let them set in the fridge for a while, and marinated them for about a half hour while it preheated. I just took them out there, put a bunch of garlic seasoning all over them, and then I had a Rudy's barbecue seasoning, whatever seasoning you like, whatever you could find in the cupboard, hot, spicy, sweet, it don't matter. What's your favorite seasoning? Put it on there. I put it on it, threw some habanero seasoning on it for some heat, put those on the grates, let that cook up, and man, it was really good. It was really, really good. Cooked it for about 2 hours. Halfway through, brushed some butter, garlic and butter on it just for a little moisture and flavor and to keep it going, and flipped them. And man, they turned out really, really good. The seasoning was phenomenal. So if you ever want to cook frog legs, you can smoke them and you can grill them. The grilling, though, I think it took like 5 minutes. 2-3 minutes per side or something. Boom, they're done. The smoking process took a little longer, between 200 and 225 degrees. Got that smoke. I had hickory pellets going through there, and got that cooked up extremely well. And if you don't like spice, just leave it off. But habanero, I have some habanero seasoning, which I get right here in Oklahoma. It's in Yukon, Oklahoma, if you've ever been. And there is an outlet mall there called the Pepper Palace. And you go in there, and they have all kinds of peppers. You can get habanero, you can get Carolina Reapers, you can get lower grades like jalapeno. I think they probably have scorpion. Any kind of seasoning you want, any kind of sauce you want, it's there. It is really good. And you usually go in there and they'll have something, you buy 3, you get 1 half off or something. So, if you go there, 1 or 2 could be expensive. It's a little pricey, but if you just go ahead and get the package where you get 3 and maybe get another one for X number of dollars, whatever, discount, you can go ahead and get you a few more. They usually have something like that, especially during big shopping event days or when people are shopping, Black Fridays, Christmas, and that kind of thing. You can usually get some pretty good deals on them. So if you're ever in the area, check that out. I don't know if there may be a Pepper Palace in other parts of the country. I don't know if that's the only one. I've never really checked. I just went to that one. But that is pretty much how I did the frog legs. So just going into our last couple of segments here before I close out, just staying in tune. If you want to create a podcast, be sure you don't let cooking the frog legs get in the way of creating that podcast. You've got to be able to do both. So keep time available to cook the legs. And if it was like me, where I would be like, I want to do another video. And I have a problem with this. I'll cook something and I'll film it and I'll say, I'm going to schedule this for next week. And I kind of get excited about it. Next thing you know, I'm just going to air it tomorrow. I'm going to air it now. I'm going to go ahead and upload it. And then I might schedule it. And I'm just going to go ahead and publish it now. So I'm trying to take that planning to YouTube better and to the podcast better. So if I do a couple of films during the week, I'll schedule them out. And only special episodes will I launch second. So 1 episode a week and maybe a special episode on an occasion, a collaboration or some special event. That way I'm organized. So trying to find out what organizes me or you in these situations is what you've got to really do. And that's how I'm going to go forward. And I'm going to start to try to organize a time and date so that I can better manage the podcast and the video. Not worry about, I want to, hopefully make it decent, but not overly worry about whether or not it's good. Because you can also create something and just say it's trash. And many of the things I thought were trash have done the best. And many of the things that I thought were the best have done horrible and found out no one liked it. So you've got to put it out there. Don't worry about it too much and hope for the best and continue on. So it has been great talking to you during this episode. If you can, simply leave a comment. You can also send an email at john@okiesmokin.com. I will get it. If you have a question for the podcast, if you have a comment, I'll read it on a future episode, quite possibly. Love feedback. And be sure and subscribe. Whatever you're listening on, we're on all of them. Spotify, Apple, all the big ones, plenty of the small ones, I think. You can find us out there. And thanks so much for listening. You can find us on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Thank you for listening to the Okie Smokin podcast. Episodes drop every Monday. Don't forget to follow this podcast, or you might miss out on some delicious creations. You can also find us on our website, okiesmokin.com, and on YouTube and other social media platforms. Until next time, keep firing up that grill.
There's a brand new feature available on the Okie Smokin podcast, and it involves you. That's right. Send me and Dolores a text, and it's never been easier. Simply scroll down to the show notes description, and you'll see where it says, send John and Dolores a text message. Click it. Talk to us. You're probably using your phone anyway, so do it now. Can't wait to hear from you.